It's a gospel on the radio talk show. A show about dreams and visions and a church that is indeed triumphant, alive, and well.
For the church triumphant is alive and well.
Hello, Tallahassee. This is the Gospel on the Radio Talk Show. I'm Pastor Jack King. I am your host, and I am live with you today. I've been taking a little time off just for a few weeks because we had youth camp in July, and it's a very, very busy time. So we've been playing a lot of reruns for you, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. We've had some great shows for you. But today, we are live recording. I say live. I am recording. But anyway, this is a show about dreams and visions and a church triumphant, alive and well. We talk about the church and what God is doing in his kingdom. And that other voice that you just heard there just a few minutes ago is a person who's back on the show with us again. This is Brother Kez McCorvey, and he is the multi-area director for our Fellowship of Christian Athletes. How did I do on that?
That was great. That was great.
Because I told him I'd never heard of a multi-area director before.
we will make up a name now. We will give you a title.
Kez McCorvey, it's good to have you back on the show again.
Oh, I'm excited about being back.
And it's, I don't know how long it's been, maybe a couple of years or whatever. And you've been the multi-area director here now for, I think you just told me 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Yep.
And I have just kind of watched the process of this. Now, in all candor, my son works along with you.
Yes.
And so he tells me a lot of things. And also his children are involved in a lot of the events that you all are doing, such as soccer, basketball. Now, these are all new since you've been part of it. Now, to me, that's tremendous. Now, when you first became the multi-area director, did you see this?
No, not really. Honestly, when I first got involved, I was being obedient. Sometimes when you just, I felt like God was telling me, hey, you need to be involved with this. And so I was being obedient, and I couldn't see it. I was just being obedient. It wasn't until I got involved and started, digging into it that, you see where God is kind of pointing you.
Right.
And so, and then, you know what, honestly, I'm telling you this, the truth, God loves me. And sometimes he has mercy on me and pushes me in the right direction. And the right people come to me and show mercy on me too. And God helps me. And so
I can so identify with what you just said. That kind of sounds like my life.
Yeah, I'm thankful that he does. He cares about me. And if he wants me to be here, he sends other people to be here with me. Amen. With ideas and resources and people to help.
Building that team.
Yeah.
That's so essential to anything you do.
It is. You can't do it by yourself. You need a great team.
No. And I may have said this the last time you were here, but I used to be, when I was a regional youth director for the Southeast region, I used to do these little things. I called them Vision. It was a little teaching conference that I do. And I had this teaching that I would do. It's called Fish of the Future. Have I told you this before? It's called Fish of the Future. Simply this is that most of the time, when you are starting something new, God spoke to you, you're stepping out, you're just being, like you said, obedient. And a lot of the people that are going to end up being a blessing to you and come alongside you are people who have not even been won to Christ yet. Yeah. They're going to come to Christ through your ministry, and next thing you know, they're going to be right there alongside of you. That's fish of the future. Yeah. and of course, now in your situation, they may not have all been saved under FCA. Yeah. But God's brought them to you.
Absolutely.
Tell me about some of that.
Well, you know what? This is the thing right here too. I think FCA, we serve two people, right? We serve the students and the faculty and the coaches of the schools and the college, high school, middle school, and even younger. But we also serve the church too as well. And so in that big picture, you're trying to figure out what is your responsibility? Where are you to be useful? And so when I look at it too, I look at it, okay, you in the church, you need those people in the church. They need to find a place to be able to use what God's given them and apply it. Okay, who are they ministering to? Who are they serving? Who are they getting a chance to develop and mentor? And then we got people on the campus, and they need someone to mentor into their lives too as well. And so for me, when I look at it as an opportunity to be able to connect the right people to each other. And that's why I've kind of, gotten to the point now where I feel like, that's what God wants to do. My job is to be the matchmaker of relationships, to be able to help people get together.
Matchmaker.
Yeah. I'm just the matchmaker. I'm trying to find the Timothys and connect them with the Pauls and help them.
But now, did you kind of operate that way in other areas of your life before you started this?
You know what? I think that's always been my deal. Really, is just I get people together. My inclination has always been I get stuff started.
Okay.
I get stuff. I'm an initiator. When I come in, if you wanted to get this started and get it jump started, that's kind of what been my strength. And I think God has taken that and applied it in this situation too, as well. As and then I got great people that have different personality sets than I have, and they kind of fill in my weaknesses, and I have weaknesses, and so I just got a good team of people that operate in different areas, and then we learn how to complement each other.
I know what you are.
What's that?
I've just figured this out. You are a dreamer.
I am a dreamer.
I should have recognized that already, because in my book that I wrote, that's my opening statement. Mm-hmm. I confess.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer.
I'm a dreamer. I do.
And I told that to my older brother once. He said, "You think I don't know that?"
Yeah.
He's put up with me for a lifetime. Dreamers don't see things like other people see things. Matter of fact, dreamers, it doesn't occur to a dreamer that you could fail.
Yeah.
You just do it. You just do it. But then the problem is that we expect everybody
to do the same,
to be the same way. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they'll give you all the reasons why you can't do it.
Yeah.
And then you're going, but just go
and do it. Exactly. And so, and honestly, I'll tell you this right here, that mentality, that thought process, that gifting that God's given me has permeated through my life. Even in football, the things I did on the football field were different than other people did it, because I just saw different, and then God used that same thing to transition over to ministry too as well. And like I said, and it's not until you get around the right people that offset those things that where sometimes I have no barriers, and I have no nothing to stop me from doing 20,000 gazillion things that come in and say, hey, you know what, kids, that's great, but how about let's focus on these couple of things that we can get
right.
And then guess what? Then you have the ability to be able to be potent. You have the ability to be able to, really make a difference, because you can focus. And so, I think that's where, I am now. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm now.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that there could be somebody listening to this radio broadcast this morning that doesn't know about your football?
I'm sure it's a lot. It really is. Honestly, it's been 30 something years.
But we're in Tallahassee.
Yeah, we're in Tallahassee.
Okay.
In Tallahassee.
Just briefly, just kind of go over your football career.
Ooh, okay. Well, I came out of high school. I went to a great high school from Mississippi, a little town called Pascagoula. I played with a bunch of really good football players. Ooh, we had a good football team. Shane Matthews, he played for the Gators. I'm sorry to tell you.
I do recognize that name.
Yeah, he played for the Gators. He was my high school quarterback, and I played for his dad. And then Terrell Buckley. Buckley is
T-Buck.
T-Buck, the fool of Pat from Pascagoula. We grew up together too as well. We grew up fighting each other.
Really?
My whole life we were nemesis, and so I had good competition my whole life, just competing against him. And now we're good friends now. So we grew up not liking each other. Now we're good friends. And so, and then I came over here. I followed him over here to go to school over here, and I got here and got a chance.
And here is
Florida State.
Florida State.
Yes. Where is anywhere is Florida State. And so got to Florida State and was here at the right time too. You get here and then all of a sudden you got a great coach and a great organization, and you got great coaches around you, and then you get here at the pivotal time where you got great players too as well. Then you get the pivotal time where you get something that happens, changes, that utilizes the skill sets that you have, because they threw the ball at Florida State, but they didn't throw it like we gonna throw it. We threw it the years when I got here,
right?
And so I got a chance to be here at the right time, and and be in the right offense, and they utilized my skills, and I got a chance to become an All-American. And when I left, I was the second all-time leading receiver in Florida State history in yards and reception. That's something I would never have thought could happen. And then got a chance to like I said, All-American, and then get drafted and play for the Detroit Lions, play for a couple of years professional football in Detroit, and then in Carolina in the NFL Europe, and then in Canadian football. So 6 years of total football. I would have never believed. When you're in it, you think, man, you're supposed to play forever. But when you get done, you kind of look back and say, man, that was an incredible ride.
Precious years, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then came back here and got a chance to be train other athletes. And so I got a chance to train a bunch of the athletes, Ernie Sims, Antonio Cromartie, and Crofonzo Thorpe, and a bunch of those guys, and then got a chance to coach a bunch of high level guys and that played professional football.
Where did you coach at?
I coached my first coaching job. Well, I coached around all the schools. My first coaching job was here at Lincoln High School. I coached at Lincoln High School in 1998 for about a couple of months, and then they went, and they had a bunch of great football players there. And then
they won a state championship.
They won a state championship that next year after that group, and then I when I retired, I started coaching. I started helping out a bunch of different schools here, and then Jacksonville here as well, and then my first job was at McClay High School. So I was the second football coach for McClay High School, and so that was an adventure. I had one of the only professional football players actually I think the only professional football player to ever come out of that school was Seth Roberts, who played a bunch of years of professional football, and he was one of my receivers, great athlete, and then got a chance to go and leave there and go to a college in Tennessee, Bethel University, and then leave from there and go to the CFL and coaching pro football with the Toronto Argonauts.
Wow.
And then leave, then go back to a high school and coach there, and had great athletes there, and then got a chance to go and coach back in the CFL in Edmonton for 2 years. And
you don't seem old enough to be able to done all that.
I know. And then we won the championship over there. Won it in Toronto, the championship, and then won it in Edmonton, the championship. So
really?
Coached 3 years in CFL, won 2 championships, and then I left there and was trying to get back into college football and coached at Middle Tennessee State University my last year.
You the head coach there?
No. I was the receiver coach there, and then God called me in the ministry. You get the call, you get the call up. And then so now I'm in Tallahassee, and I'm trying to figure out, man, what does ministry look like, man?
Now, when you first went into the ministry, what were you doing then?
You know what? I was in FCA still. I was in FCA and trying to figure out what does ministry look like, because my only thought process of what ministry looked like was, in your church.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to figure out what this ministry looks like, and so what I did is I had all the middle schools in town, and so I would go around to the middle schools, and I would make sure that they had the sponsors there, and then if they asked me to speak, which I definitely wanted them to ask me to speak, I got a chance to give my testimony, and I get a chance to talk about Jesus, and really just get my confidence in evangelizing. Really, so I really learned how to evangelize in that moment. Really, I mean, I've been an athlete and I've been a Christian before in the context, but it was mostly people would invite me to come and speak at their event, and I was never hands-on in a situation where you get a chance to spend that much time and get down and dirty. And so now, guess what? I get down and dirty, and I'm with the middle schools there, and and I'm thinking to myself, what? These kids don't want to hear anything I got to say, and then you see God, open up their ears and your message, it has a hook, and it has some strength to it, and you're thinking, wow, I can't believe that these kids are open to the gospel. I'm just I'm thinking to myself, these kids don't want to hear anything I got to say, but then you get a chance to you preach the gospel, you tell them about who Jesus is, and then hey, I want some of that. Okay, wow, okay, you do? Oh my goodness, okay, maybe. I remember the last time, or about the time that you were on the show, and you were talking about how after you all won the championship in '93, at that time, and you grew up, as you told me, in the Methodist church. You'd kind of gotten away a little bit. And I wasn't a Christian. I wasn't saved. I grew up in the church. My grandmother would take me to the church all the time. I knew what it looked like. I knew what other Christians looked like, but that wasn't me. And it was because I was full of myself, and I was, my at the time, my God was my ability to do all the amazing things that football players and athletes think they can do.
But I remember you telling me that there came that point where you said, is that all there is?
Yeah.
After you won, you just won a national championship.
Well, yeah. When you get in those situations right there, you get to the edge. It's like a promise that never comes true, right? You get to the edge. If I can get to the edge of the rainbow right here, we can find the pot of gold. And so once you get to the edge of the rainbow, okay, we won the state championship. Is it the edge? Is it the edge? And nope, not yet. Keep going. Oh, really? All right, we won. We just made the college. Are we here yet? Nope, not yet. Keep going. We win the national championship. have we made it yet? No, not yet. Keep going. Okay, what do I got to do? Well, you get drafted, and you make a little money. Have you here yet? Are you here yet? Are we here yet? No, not yet. Keep going. Oh my goodness, when will it ever stop to where where you ever find peace, where you ever find, to where you have confidence in yourself, or to where you don't, And so that's how I felt. I felt like the same thing at the national championship game, because you was hoping for more. You were hoping that you'd be excited. You were hoping that it'd be the funnest thing in the whole world, and you cry on the ground. But I didn't cry. I was sad that it was over, and it was like,
Was that your senior year?
No, it's my junior year.
Oh, okay.
It's my junior year.
So you played another year after that?
I played another year after that. I was making the decision to come back or go, and I played another year after that.
Okay. I guess I didn't realize that, because that seemed like the crowning achievement. I mean,
you think you think you could arrive to the sunset, and and
how many years ago has that been? Did you say 30-something?
Yeah, in 2003. So almost
No, 93.
93. So I'm sorry, 93. So it's 30 years.
That's amazing.
Almost 30 years.
I remember exactly what I was doing, where I was at, the whole thing.
Yeah, almost 30.
You know where you were.
Yeah, I was on the field there. Dancing and in the ticker tape.
Yeah. But let's do this for just a second.
Yeah.
Just speak about Bobby Bowden.
Oh.
I mean, we lost him. He was so important to all of us, and I know he meant a lot to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, too, when I was here, I remember when I first got here, I can kind of go back when I first got here. I'll tell you, the first time I got a chance to see him, I came up for a camp, right, and I was coming to really try out for the team, and I'm in the best shape of my life. I come out there, and I'm tearing it up, and all the coaches love me and this and that, and then I hear them as Coach Bowden rolling up on his in his golf cart, and they said, hey, Coach, you need to check out this kid over here, this kid from Pascagoula. And I remember I get ready to run a route, and I run my little route, and the ball is thrown behind me. And as soon as he see the ball thrown behind me, he just gets in his cart and rides off. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you get a chance to stay and see me run down the route, do my thing. That's my chance. But then, the coach, my coach says, hey, McCorvey, you got a scholarship, because the way they did it is, they just had to get a couple of coaches to agree that I was worth them vouching for me. He gave them the freedom to do that. And then when I got to school here too as well, I just saw a different program. He didn't coach over everybody. He was kind of a CEO. He kind of let all the other coaches coach. And then just the attitude of the program here too as well. You know what? I've heard horror stories about people going to college and how they've been cursed and disrespected and all that kind of stuff. And I never experienced that. When I first got here, the only curse word I heard, you could say it was a curse word, was "Kez, I love you." And that, because I never heard that growing up.
Really?
Yeah. And but
Coach said that.
Yeah, coaching his staff, and Coach Van Hallinger, and he set the ambiance for the whole team. And Coach was he didn't allow. So I really felt loved. I really felt cared for. Now, did I trust it when I first got here? I didn't trust it because I'd never seen it. I never experienced anything that in a male culture like that. That's just
right.
And so, but it was great. They worked me. They worked us to death. They worked us, but they really loved on us. Yeah. Coach Bowden really loved on us. He really held the things that he professed. He professed in front of us too as well.
Yeah.
He made us. He actually made us go to church, and he made sure that we operated in a high character.
Right.
In all situations too as well. And so I experienced that all the way through there. And so when I finally got saved in 1997, I knew exactly where to go. I came down to come back from Detroit, came down, went up to the stadium over there, went to the back door, told Coach Van Hallinger that I became a Christian, went upstairs, called Coach Bowden in his office, sit down in his desk over there, and told him, that I just got saved, just became a Christian. And then I think I went and told Mark too as well, and told them guys I just became a Christian because it was evident that they had been poured into me. It's evident that they had been planting seeds into me.
That's a great story.
And so even after when I came back, just for this opportunity here too, I was involved with FCA a little bit before that, before I became involved at this level, because I was Doug Scott asked me to come and introduce Coach Bowden at a couple of the events. So he would pick me up and pick Coach Bowden up, and I would ride with him as Coach Bowden was going to speak. And so I would get an opportunity to introduce him. And it was natural too, because you get old enough to where you kind of realize the things he had done for us and how he had, been like a father figure in my life too. And so it was easy for me to go and introduce him, and those are different events. And so that was my first entryway into FCA. But then when I came back and was doing FCA full time, he kind of jumped right on my bandwagon.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he did. He came and he championed me, and I recall coming to his house and bringing people over his house, and he would go and help me raise funds to be on staff. And so he would come and help and speak to people about being on staff and whatnot. And then later in the deal, the last couple of years, he would go and he would not say no to anyone that come and speak. I would be very protective of him too, because I know if I told him that such and such middle school needed him to come and speak at this thing, he would do it. And I'm thinking, Coach, you're 90 years old, man. You can't go speak at every place.
Right.
You can't go speak at every place. But he would say yes. And so I just saw him finish well. And he would say to me, he said, Kez, if you ask me to do something, you ask me to go speak, I'm going to speak at every opportunity. And so we were on planes flying to Houston. We were on planes going to Atlanta. It's late at night. I'm thinking to myself, dude, man, this is tiring. I don't know how you can do this. And I'm mad when people asking, hey, you get Coach Bowden to come? Yeah, we'll fly him up. I said, no, man, that means I gotta go too. I gotta go. But I really loved it. I really enjoyed watching him in that process the last couple of years too, as he's really sacrificed himself and took every occasion opportunity to preach the gospel and pour into people.
Well, I called him, and somebody gave me his cell phone number, and he said, yeah, and he did a show with me. Mm-hmm. We did it through telephone. But one of the things he told me in that, he said, one of the things he told you guys, he said, you got to write a letter to your mama every week. Mm-hmm. He said, that's got to keep mama happy. Yeah. And that's just, to me, talked about his character. Yeah. And he was a father figure to me. Yeah. Even though I've a couple times just met him. He didn't know me. But just because of the life that he lived. Yeah. And in fact, when I first came to Tallahassee, 1979, I wasn't even a football fan. I'm from Kentucky.
Yeah. Basketball.
But I would listen on the radio, and they were singing this song because LSU was courting him, see. Yeah. And they were saying, Bobby Bowden, that's the coach for me. Bobby Bowden, please stay in Tallahassee. And I remember, and I went home and told my wife, I said, I think I'm going to root for these Seminoles. Yeah. And I'm glad I did, because I got to root for you when you were tearing it up there in 1993.
Yeah, we had a good time. Good time. And so, like I said, I really enjoyed, because afterwards, our relationship was different, because when I was playing, I was a player, and and I'm gonna be honest with you, I probably was a selfish player too as well. And then to kind of get a chance to serve with him, it was, for me, it was eye opening.
You'd grown up and become a man, and now you were doing things that men do. As a person who also had become a believer. And you were representing Christ. So how did that happen? You said 1997.
1997.
And even though you'd been in church as a child and stuff, but something happened in 1997.
Probably in 1998. It was 1998, and we were playing. The decision. It started early that year. Finally, my third year in Detroit. I'm finally a starter for the Detroit Lions, and at that point, that meant for me, a new contract, more security, all the kind of stuff like that. And so I'm started, I'm thinking about time. I should have been a starter a while back, and I'm tearing it up, and then right before the season starts, I end up getting an injury, and tearing a ligament in my foot, and for a receiver, something like that is career basically, and that's what happened to me. I had that, and I go from being quicker than most folks and most everybody around me to limping around, but I did a good enough job to be able to stay on the team, and they were hopefully get me to come back, me to heal, but I never really healed, and so I'm struggling that year, just really just with my not only my physical capabilities but my identity. And so I recall we were actually playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the coach called me into his office and explained to me that they needed a special teams player, and I'm thinking, okay, well, why are you telling me? Well, exactly, because you are not a special teams player. And we need your space. And he explained to me, okay, only for this week to get a special teams player. And so they end up, he ended up saying, well, I'm going to cut you this weekend and I'm going to bring you back on Monday. But all I heard was, you fired.
Oh my.
And so that particular incident, and along with a bunch of incidents that kind of slowly broke me down, but that particular incident, let me realize that, Kez McCorvey, you are not God. You are not indestructible. This thing, you cannot control it, because for a while I thought I could control it. I thought I could work hard enough to make everything that I wanted to make happen, because I've done it before, right? You feel like you've done it before. You feel like you've done it before, but in reality, God was pushing me in that direction. But I ended up, they ended up cutting me, and I'm mad, crying, upset, but then what happened is this right here is I just got to the point where I realized that football cannot be God. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the kind of the final straw, that football cannot be God. Football cannot be God, and if football's not God, then, or my ability to play football or to do the things I could do is not God, then who is?
Wow. That's quite an eye-opening thing, right?
Yeah. And so what happened is I just happened to be in the locker room, and it just so happened I had a young man in the locker room. His name was Glenn Milburn, who was from California, and which made him different. And then he was Christian.
He was made different because he was from California.
Yeah. And so I just remember watching him. I was over there and acting a fool and acting crazy, and I just saw him in the locker room, and I was drawn to just to watch him and see how he responded in the locker room, being a Christian, because I would see him reading his Bible. Okay, so you one of them Christian guys, okay, are you real? And then I just watched him, respond and react in the NFL locker room, and come to the realization that he is for real, and I need to, I think I need to go talk to him. And so I go in after we play in the Minnesota Vikings. I'm back on the team, obviously, and then we're going to play the Minnesota Vikings, and I remember first time I've ever gone to a chapel service. I go to a chapel service, and I catch him after the chapel service and block the door and tell him, hey man, I've been watching you. I know you probably think I'm a stalker, but I've been watching you, and I want what you got. And,
wow.
And he says, come to my house, because we're getting ready to play a game. Come to my house on our off day, and we can meet. And so I go over to his house. He has a friend of his come over there, and he preaches the gospel, gives his testimony, preaches the gospel. And that night I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior.
Wow.
And then the process starts.
Yeah.
The process starts.
Now, so this gentleman was a player.
Yeah.
What did he play?
He was a returner.
Okay. Now, after you came back to the team, they actually did the thing. You were no longer a receiver. Now you're special teams.
No. I was a receiver still. Still. So they needed that special teams player for one
Just
game.
One game.
Okay. And so they I was off the team for a weekend, and back then when you get off the team, they fire you, go to waivers, and so other teams can pick you up. But I'm injured, so no other team's gonna pick me up. And so you just kind of like damaged good. You got to sit there and you got to take it.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
But did the foot ever get better?
No, well, not until I went to NFL Europe, and I came back and I had surgery here in town to where somebody came and cleaned my foot up. Then it got better. But then I was at that time I was playing football in the CFL, and I was under contract. And that first year I led the league in touchdowns. I had 15 touchdowns that year and led the league, and thinking, okay, I'm gonna go back to the NFL. But CFL contracts are kind of tricky. And so I was stuck in that league for another year, and then that next year, about the 6th game, I tear my ACL.
Oh no!
Yeah, and then I just decided, you know what, God.
And by that time, you were how old?
I was maybe 29, 30.
Okay, at that point, injuries are much more serious, aren't they?
Yeah, it wasn't serious. Really, it was a situation where, God, I was trying to, I wasn't tired of football like that. I loved it. I enjoyed it, and that's why I love playing Canadian football too. Because that was the first time I got to the point to where, if I did great or I didn't have the results that I wanted, I was still at peace. Uh-huh. So I loved winning. I would go out and play hard, and the only question I was asking myself is this right here: Did you do your very best? Right. And I would answer that question yes or no. If I said yeah, if it was yes, then I was happy with what happened. Even if I said no, but I hardly ever said no. I would always try to give my very best, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Now, I'm curious about something: Canadian football, American NFL football. are they even in the same comparison?
They are. It's football. It's football.
I mean, you can get hurt in either one.
Oh yeah, you can get hurt in either one. And then players are the same too. You got a lot of the NFL players are playing Canadian football. Back then, what happened is you had the salary cap, and so what happens is some guys would be still good players, but they would play past their 5th year or their 3rd year, and so the NFL had to pay them a bunch of money, and so instead of them paying them a bunch of money, they would let them go.
Okay.
So back then, you had a lot of guys that got priced out of the league. You go, instead of them paying a veteran this amount of money, they would rather get a rookie and pay him. And so they've since then corrected that, but a lot of guys fell into that trap and so I played against a bunch of guys that were really good football players, smart football players, all that kind of stuff like that.
Probably some guys you'd had played against.
Absolutely.
Now the Europe thing, you say it's NFL Europe.
Yeah, NFL Europe.
Now, is that associated with the NFL?
Yeah, at the time it was associated with the NFL, and so I was the first pick of the Rhine Fire, and so I got a chance to go and play in the NFL Europe in Dusseldorf, Germany,
okay,
and play in that league for a year.
So you just go over there and play during the season?
I went over there and played before the season started. Before the NFL season starts, you play over there kind of as a developmental league. So when I got injured, I was trying to show that I wasn't injured, and get back, and I didn't realize the extent of my injury, and so I'm still trying to, with a bad foot, trying to play and prove that that I can still play.
You have toughened it up, didn't you?
Yeah. So you're trying to.
But during the off season. Well, you didn't get much on off season.
You didn't get an off season.
If you're doing that, because you're playing here, then you're playing there, and then you're back.
You didn't get an off season, so I ended up, playing and limping around, and I was a decent enough player to where I could. They didn't demand that I practice every day, and I can make it through the season, and so that was the benefit of playing in NFL Europe is that, and still I don't know if they still have the records, but I had the longest touchdown in NFL Europe history over in the Rhine Fire. 95 yards was
now, let me
my
ask
longest
you this.
touchdown. Yes.
You mentioned that you had the longest, the most receptions at Florida State when you left.
Second most times. Second most.
Oh, you were second. Okay.
Yes.
Has that been beat?
Oh yeah, plenty of time. Plenty of guys have beat that thing now, man. I'm just like, man,
Now, people who tuned in here, they think, well, this is sports radio, but we don't always get Kez McCorvey on the show.
Yeah.
And, of course, we've talked about in a Fellowship of Christian Athletes as well. If you just tuned in, this is Kez McCorvey. He is our guest today. This is the second or third time he's been on the show with us.
Yeah.
He's a multi-area director of Fellowship of Christian Athletes right here in Tallahassee. That's really cool. And he needs to take a break and let that voice just cool down just a little bit so we'll play a little music in the meantime. That's a guy, Penrod. He can sure dress up an old song. Down at the Cross. This is the Gospel on the Radio Talk Show. I am Pastor Jack King. I am your host. And, well, it's exciting to be doing a show, even though I'm live. I'm alive while I'm doing it, but this is pre-recorded. But it's not a rebroadcast. But anyway, today's church day for me, and I'm pastor of Freedom Road Christian Ministry, 720 Capitol Circle Northeast, and well, we love visitors. Why don't you come worship with us? We start at 11:05. We're there on Capitol Circle between Easterwood Drive and Park Avenue. So if you're heading toward Park Avenue, you'll see our signs there on the right-hand side of the road. Like I say, we love visitors. You can check us out on the web, frcm.us. Also, you can find this show on the podcast. It's show number 1084. And you just type in Pastor Jack King, Tallahassee, and it'll come up. There's a whole bunch of talk shows there. And the daily broadcast as well. Unfortunately, we can't put the music show on there because of, well, you know how that works. But anyway, that airs Saturday night, 7 o'clock, right here on 94.1. It's a full hour of the best music on the planet. That's my opinion, of course. Southern gospel style. We crank it up. So invite you to join me for that, and also the daily broadcast Monday through Friday here on 94.1. We bring you the Word of God. That kind of brings you up to date on all of those things. And if you like Southern gospel music, tonight over the American Legion, it's the first Sunday night of the month, Gospel Sing, and we've got Fortress coming. And they are from over in Hosford, Florida. They do a great job. You'll enjoy them. 6:30. Come out and join us for that. You'll have a good time. Brother Kez McCorvey,
Yes.
multi-director of Fellowship of Christian Athletes here in our area. We've been having a good time. I've enjoyed just listening to you, because I don't know, when you've been on the show, we've really gone down that road before to kind of hear a little bit about your career and things. And I love the fact that you talk about some of your mindsets back in those days. God had to grow you and mature you, and to bring you to the point now to where you're helping this person, and you understand. I mean, you get some young kid, you're having one of the events that you're doing, and you're seeing him out there, and you say, man, that's Kez.
That's it.
That was Kez back then, and he's got a lot to learn, but you know how to help mold him through all that sort of thing.
Yeah, you know what? There's just if you look at the past is great to be able to look through that thing and kind of pull apart the pieces and kind of look back and see kind of how God was utilizing those pieces to kind of make you and make you more whole. And football actually helps me in that too as well, because I can look back at my career and my interaction with Coach Bowden too as well, and see where I was made more whole. Right. I recall, playing, and I didn't like the position I played. I was an inside slot receiver. Inside slot receivers, they get hit a lot, they get jostled a lot. Unless you got black linebackers, you over the middle a lot. And I didn't like that position. I wanted to be one of the outside guys. The outside guys are the fast guy. They're the flashy guy. They get the deep, cool routes and stuff like that. But I look back at that time, and I see how God blessed me to be in that position. And like I said earlier, I ended up in that position that I didn't like. I ended up being the second all-time leading receiver in Florida State history.
So you just taught me something that I didn't know. So there's two different types of receivers.
It's a bunch of different types of receivers.
Really?
Yes.
See, like I say, I like football, and I enjoy watching it, but I don't know the game like you would know the game. I would know a little bit more about basketball.
But so it's different positions in the receiver pool, right? They all catch balls, right? But they catch different types of balls, right? Really? Yeah, because they have different skills. You got the ones that are fast, and you got the ones that are quick, and you got the ones that are big, and they got different responsibilities, right? And they run different routes as well too within the context, because you got some guys that are good at running those deep routes, and you got some guys that are really good at running those underneath routes. You got some guys that they throw it to them quick and they can get the ball in the hand. They're like running backs with the ball in their hands, and so those guys, they have different positions.
So coaches are sending these people in and out, depending on what they need at that time.
Yeah, what they need at that time, and now they just keep in the game. And so when you see you have 4 receivers out there, they're all receivers, but they have different attributes. And though they have different attributes.
But then wouldn't the other team know this too?
Yeah, the other team knows it as well too.
So they know what's going to happen here.
They know those guys, but then it becomes a one-on-one. It becomes a battle of is this guy good at his task?
Right.
Can he win at his task that he's been assigned?
It's going to beat out the guy that's guarding you.
Yeah, beat up the guy that's guarding you.
It's fascinating because you realize that to be a coach, you have to have. Your mind has to be scrambled. You have to know so much. Even though I heard Tony Dungy say, football's really not all that complicated.
It's not. It's not. You have some base fundamental things that you. And I think this is the thing I love about Coach Bowden. Coach Bowden loved to simplify things. He would come and he would take those complex ideas, and he would come and he would simplify them, and he would make to where it's in simple terms. Hey Kez, you're the over the middle guy. I said, no, Coach, I'm not the over the middle guy. Yeah, you're the over the middle guy, Coach. I can run some of the other routes, Coach. Yeah, because you're the over the middle. And he would simplify things, and to where where he can now didn't have to. It didn't become a complex process in making decisions.
Right.
And so I saw the value in that too. And there's value to that in coaching too. If you can know what people do well and then put them in position where they can do what they do well.
But see, that goes also in ministry, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Which applies just exactly what you're doing now.
Absolutely.
At FCA, because God has brought you staff, I mean, when you first started FCA, there were others that were on staff, right?
Yeah. And I don't know if I even recognized their value, because I thought, okay, everybody's the same. Everybody goes and preaches. When I first got in the staff, right, I had a bunch of guys that were actually pastors on the staff, and I just asked, and then, when it came time when I became in the position of leadership, and I would ask myself, okay, now, why would I be putting leadership over these guys? These guys know way more word than I do, But my job wasn't they weren't asking me to go and pastor. They weren't asking me to go and do the word like they do the word. They go in there and they know the Greek, they know all the different things, they know how to they know all that stuff like that. But my responsibility was now to lead them in the ministry. My responsibility was to go and set the field for them to go out and play and do what they do well, and so we can highlight some of their strengths and abilities. Right. And so that was
still coaching.
Job. Yeah, I'm still coaching. So I'm still helping them. I need to get them in the end zone, because they can really run with the ball. They can run with the ball. They can throw the ball. Right. And so my job is to get them in position to where they can be successful and have an opportunity to be able to impact like they need to impact.
But what you were just talking about, you're assessing the talent.
Yeah.
As you when you first take this position, you don't know these people.
Yeah.
So you're assessing their talents. Well, this guy's good at this. This guy's good at this. I need somebody to do this. And then sometimes you say, well, they may not be the best at it, but they're the best I got.
Yeah.
So need you over here. Yeah. It's just coaching.
It is. It really is coaching. It really is. Even in Christian ministry, you think, man, but it's really coaching, because God gives us all different talents, all different abilities too, and so you got to be able to have some insight, on where to put people,
right.
And so for me, that comes to a lot of prayer. That comes from a lot of time, spend a lot of time with the people that you're working with, to be able to understand what the goal is, understand what's God telling you as far as the goal is in the ministry, and where we're going, and how to and then be able to now put people in place to be able to achieve those goals that you have.
But one of the things that you're doing, and I know this because of my son who told me this, that you are trying to connect FCA with the churches.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a struggle throughout the years. I mean, others have attempted this. And I don't know why it is, but it seems to me like there's a disconnect there.
Yeah.
And has it gotten better?
It has gotten a lot better, because honestly, I think it's part of it is recognizing where you're weak at. In a ministry like ours, there's no way that FCA could hire enough people to go and minister to the number of people that we desire to minister to.
Right.
And so, instead of us thinking the goal is for us to score, the goal is to create scoring opportunities.
Right.
Period. For God. And now we're not even doing it for God. We just open the door for people to hear about God. And so how do we do that? How do we do that efficiently? All right. Do we have to do it? Do I have to be the one to press the button, or do I just care that the button is getting pressed? Jesus said this about his disciples were talking about. Hey, he said some people over there preaching the gospel over there, and they not with us. And Jesus said, as long as they preaching the gospel, it's good.
right.
I paraphrase that.
If they're not against us, they're for us.
For us, right? And so he was, and that's the same thing here too as well. Our goal is a kingdom goal right here too.
Sure.
Our goal is to get the gospel preached, and so my job is to find the resources, and the people are aligned with us with the understanding of who Jesus is, and my job is to utilize them to help them be successful in what God's called them to be. Because I work for God. I don't work for I don't even work for FCA really. I work for God.
Sure. But the connection between FCA and church.
Yes.
What would you like for that to be?
Well, I mean, what is it? It's kind of like this right here. If a church wants a youth pastor, what do? They go out and they hire a youth pastor. But some churches can't afford a youth pastor.
Right.
So what do? How do they service that responsibility?
Tell me, I need to know.
Well, I mean, FCA can be a person that can be in the gap for that person. If a church wants to have a sports ministry or a youth sports ministry, do they have some churches have the ability to do that? Some churches don't have the ability to do that. Some churches don't have the bandwidth to do that. FCA hope is in the gap to be able to allow them to be able to do that. When I look at FCA is kind of like, you got a nice car, but guess what? You need a spoiler kit on that thing, or you need some extra engine parts on that thing right there. FCA is an extra part that helps your church be able to, to do things that it wouldn't be able to do without FCA. And so
let me go back just a second.
Yes.
What you just said, okay, a church doesn't have a youth pastor.
Yeah.
FCA can help them.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, I mean, like this right here, if a church desires to in their community impact the youth,
Okay.
FCA bridges the gap to where when you come on campus, guess what? You ain't got to go do all the work. You ain't got to go meet the coach and sit down with the coach and spend years of relationship building to be able to get in there and develop a relationship with the team and develop a relationship with the athletes and develop a relationship with the schools and the campus and the huddles on the campus. FCA does that for you, and then guess what they do? They train you on the legality and all the things that you need to do to be legal in there, and then we equip you. We give you some of the material stuff, and we help you, and we put you in the position where you can now create that relationship in the hopes that kid develops a relationship with you, but also develops a relationship with that church.
Now, when you say you talking about the pastor? Or some leader in the church?
Leaders in the church, and some lay people too as well. There's plenty of lay people in the church right here that have the desire to be involved and impact on the school campus, right? There's plenty of them that do.
Sure.
But guess what? They don't understand that they have the ability to do it. Sometimes they think, kids, I don't have anything in common with any of those kids right there, but you really do, because all the kids want to do, they want to be loved.
Yeah.
They want to be loved.
But you have the end.
Yeah, we have the end.
You have the end, because that's the difficult thing. And I said this to you before we even got started. You all have the ability to get into places that normal Christians do not. And that's been built through relationships year after year after year. FCA's been there.
Yeah.
And you just develop that type of relationship, that type of reputation.
Yeah.
Among people who are in schools and things. So are you telling me that, okay, let's say a church wanted to get involved in a school as far as getting to know the kids on the campus, being able to minister, maybe have them come and be involved in something on your church campus.
Yeah.
So we'd call FCA and say, hey, we want to get involved. How would that pastor go about that?
Oh, that pastor would contact. We have a program called Grab Your Cleats, and actually, your son is in. He's the director of that program.
I knew he was involved somewhere there,
and so he's the director of that program. And so what I do is I would call. They would maybe call me, and I would say, "Well, you need to talk to Josh King." And so Josh comes in and meets with them and assesses their church and their ability to be able to be involved in that ministry right here. And then what he does, he trains them. And so we'll come to the church and we'll speak to the church congregation about the opportunity, right? And then we'll ask, okay, who would like to be involved? And so we might have a couple of hands, 5, 6, 20 hands that'll go up and say, I want to be involved. And so we'll invite them to a training where we train them and equip them to be in that particular ministry. And so then what we do is we'll place them in one of the ministry opportunities. So if you go on a high school campus, guess what? You got probably 40 opportunities to minister. So you got 40 teams, you got the main huddle that'll probably have between 100 to 200 kids that'll participate in that huddle too. You got that leadership group over the campus that are used to as well. You got kids that are doing Bible studies on the group that need people to sit down with them and have Bible studies with them. And so what we do is we provide an opportunity to be able to have that person come in and be the relationship, be the Paul to that Timothy, to help them to grow in that in relationship.
Wow. And you've had churches do this?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Now, Josh, we talk about stuff like that, but I don't know that he's quite gone into the detail. He knows about church very, very well, so that's probably one of the reasons why he hasn't dug in deep with me just yet, because he knows that in my church it's going to be me, because I really don't have anybody else that I'd say, but there may be somebody on the horizon.
There may be someone on the horizon.
Yeah,
exactly.
there you go. Okay.
So he's having a training pretty soon here. I think it's like, if I had the date on me, I need to get the date from him. But
I'll get it from him.
Yeah.
But the other congregation, the rest of the congregation might want that date.
Yeah.
There's more people listening than just me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to remember that.
Absolutely.
If you do this for me, I'll announce it later. If you don't have it, then just he's looking at his phone right there, so we'll let him do that. Let me just remind you once again, you are tuned to the Gospel on the Radio talk show. I am having so much fun here today. I think I told you this earlier that I took a July off as far as doing live shows or doing pre-recorded shows. And so this is my first time back, and I'm just having a great time. So did you find it, Kez?
I do. We hadn't set a date for it, so we got a couple of different
events. The date's not been set. Okay.
Yeah. So
you have a website that they can go to.
Absolutely. FCA, NorthFloridaFCA.org. North Florida FCA.org. Yep.
Okay, and so that date would be on there.
That date will be on there. So we have our kickoff. So we have our year kickoff 9/8. That's in a couple. That's in the week here. Then we got our student leadership training. So we train all of our students on the campuses, right? And we train them how to run FCAs on all the campuses.
Schools going back here.
Exactly. So we'll 9/16 we'll have our training, and so we'll be training all the young leaders on the campuses of how to run FCA on their campus.
Okay, so this is going to be sometime in September, probably.
Yeah.
Because teachers are going back tomorrow, and then students, I guess, a week later. So, wow, you fixing to get real busy again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Kez, I'm just looking at my clock here. We got so many things I want to talk to you about. You all started this since the last time you were on the show. Mm-hmm. You now have soccer. For middle, I guess high school, middle school.
It really right now it starts with elementary. Sorry, it starts with elementary. So we start from 5 all the way up to the different levels of participation. Right. So at 5, you're right. You got people that just starting play soccer or plays baseball or play
That's really good.
flag football or play basketball. We got this. So it's kind of progressive up to a point to where now, guess what? You got somebody that's been playing for a while. Your granddaughter, right? She's been playing for a while and she's been doing pretty good, but she wants to be challenged a little bit more. She might want to do club soccer now, and so we do it within the context of FCA. And so FCA, we have our regular league soccer or league sports, and where we actually use a lot of our 3D coaching training principles in that process.
You're depending on a lot of volunteers for this, aren't you?
Yeah, we do. And we have a great person that runs our deal too. His name's Tom Grubbs, and he runs that. But with this volunteer, it's volunteer intensive, and we have to do a great job of training our volunteers and training our coaches and training our referees too as well.
You've got a lot of different teams, so everyone requires a coach.
Yeah.
So these are ministry opportunities for people.
Ministry opportunities, and I tell you, I got to brag on. I have a great board that supports us and helps us to do the things we do. You can't do stuff like this right here unless the community is behind you.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
And so our board has been right there, and we have about 30 board members that make sure that all the different things that we do. And like you said earlier, we have gotten to the point where we have a lot of opportunities to serve.
Yeah.
And so
if somebody wanted to get involved in this, to be a coach or be involved, even coordinators, because every one of these leagues has got to have a coordinator.
Absolutely.
I mean, you say Tom's doing the basketball, but you still got the soccer and the football.
Yeah.
And so there may be somebody listening out here, and that's just kind of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to get involved.
We are looking for coaches. We're looking for coordinators. We're looking for people to serve. Right. We'll have 2 soccer leagues. One at the Northside Community Center over there on the north side of town, and then we'll have another one over there at the
Northside
Baptist over there at the east side of town. And so we'll have 2 leagues going on this year. Right now,
that's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff.
When I first came to Tallahassee, I started a basketball league and ran it for 10 years, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And then after I finished the men's league, I started the boys league because Joshua was just getting up. So I ran the boys league for 5 years, and that's just one person doing one league. I mean, you got all these leagues and stuff going on.
So we have a couple different places too. We obviously do basketball too as well at First Baptist, and then we'll have flag football on the east side of town too. On Morningside too as well. So our goal is to have flag football. That's my passion too, flag football too. So and then the goal is also we wanted to do golf and have beginner golf and develop our golf leagues too as well.
It's just amazing that you've got all these things going, and none of that was happening before Kez McCorvey became the director, because your basic concept has been the huddles.
Yeah.
I mean, in the schools, you go into the schools, and every school, well, not every school has the FCA, but you want them to have, but that's a process too, to get in everyone. But I mean, basically, when you came into this position, that was the big thing, was to have the huddles in the schools. But you've taken it beyond that, and now you're doing all these different sports teams and things like that. Okay, what's the dreamer got in his dream now?
Well,
what's coming up?
Well, I think one of the things that is prime on the horizon is really to attack the campuses over there. We got three campuses in town here.
Talking about college?
College, yes. Yeah. We got 3 campuses. We got Florida State, FAMU, TCC, and that's been one of my passions, is to really impact the campuses, at the level. And so, the goal is really to flood our campuses with gospel opportunities.
Wow.
It really is.
It's a big challenge.
It is a big challenge too, but I think it's a big opportunity. When I think about that opportunity, I see, God doesn't lose.
Yeah.
God doesn't
But it seems to me
lose.
like right now would be the time to strike.
Yeah.
You've got new young people coming to these campuses as freshmen.
Yeah.
And they have not been drawn one way or the other yet.
Yeah.
You'd be one of many that's vying for their attention.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how you do this.
Well, that's the thing right here. I think it's all relational. Because when I go onto a high school campus, guess what it is too? Is the kids are not. They're not. People sometimes we think they're the worst kids in the world, and no, they're just really looking for somebody to connect relationally with.
Absolutely.
And the college kids are the same thing too as well. They get there on the campus right there, and they get isolated. You think man, the kids, but they're just trying to connect relationally.
Yeah.
And so we just have to provide the proper relationships in the proper context and the proper atmosphere for them to connect in a right way, so they can really have a clear view of who God is.
But these college students are going to change so much in just a matter of weeks.
Yes.
From the time that they come on that campus,
Absolutely.
2 or 3 weeks down the road, they're going to change a lot. And they're going to be pulled.
They're influenced.
Yeah.
They're influenced easy. And so if we're not influencing them, who is?
Right.
And so my hope is that we get a chance to be in the right place to be able to be accessible.
Right.
It's hard to influence someone if you're not accessible.
Right.
And so we want to be accessible.
So do you all go to that? What's that thing they have every Wednesday or Tuesday at the Florida State in the courtyard there?
Our students will.
So you have a presence there.
Yeah, our students have a presence there. My hope is this right here, to not only reach the D1 athletes at Florida State and be involved in the program, but also our intramural sports. Okay, anything that has a sport context, right? We want to have our hands on it, right? I had a friend of mine that does ministry on the college campus as well, and he was telling me about how they do their ministry, and he was saying that we have to go and recruit and find people and invite them to come. I said, no, all we have to do is find the ball. If we find the ball, guess what? We'll find ministry opportunity. And so that's all I'm looking for.
I like that.
If folks are getting together and they're playing a sport, guess what, man? That you just invited FCA
to
come and be involved. Yeah, to come and be involved.
Just follow the ball.
Yeah.
That is so good. Brother Kez, it's time for us to pray. I'm having a great time, but everything comes to an end somewhere along the line. Father God, I'm thankful for Brother Kez McCorvey and Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Father, the work that they do. Lord, help them. Lord, anoint them, Lord. Use them for your glory and for your praise. Father, open the doors of opportunity. And Lord God, let the gospel go forth. Father, we just give you glory and praise. We thank you, Father. Father, I pray over this radio audience. Lord, bless them. Father, we pray for our pastors today as we go to our pulpits. And Father God, I pray that the Spirit of God would just sweep across the land. And Lord, we pray for peace. Peace here in America, peace around the world, and peace in the city of Jerusalem and the nation of Israel. Father God, we give you glory and praise. Brother Kez, it's been great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking. I know you are a busy man. For you to take the time to come sit down with us, I appreciate it an awful lot.
Oh, we are fine. I enjoyed it, Jack. Thank you.
Until next Sunday morning, may the Lord bless you.